And welcome into Hockey Sense, everybody. How we doing today? Hockey Sense, as always, brought to you by First Community. We come your way each and every week here live from the Half Coast Studios. Big show for you today. Looking forward to it. The NHL season's here. We've got so much to get into. Jamal Mayers is going to join me here in a couple of minutes. Looking forward to talking with Jammer. He'll be live in studio. Former Stanley Cup champion, longtime NHL player, play with a number of teams, and we'll get caught up with what's going on with Jammer. He's got a lot of stuff in the fire right now. And we'll get his take on some of the stuff we've seen throughout the course of the last week. Every week takes on a life of its own in the NHL. And this past week, we've seen crazy hits in preseason. We've seen some fines. Some people suggest we should have seen some suspensions. I don't know. We'll get Jammer's take on the lay of the land here in the preseason. Are there too many preseason games? How do we shorten up the preseason and still get the players the revenue that they are certainly concerned about, and as they should be? So we'll get into that. The Blues win last night and get a victory. I think a much-needed victory for their psyche, although it almost didn't happen. I mean, they had a 3-1 lead. Dallas comes back and makes it 3-2 pretty quickly. They tie it up late in the game with under a minute to go before Jordan Kyrou scores in overtime to get the preseason win. So that's kind of the last dress rehearsal for the Blues here in the preseason. They got one more game against Chicago coming up in Milwaukee on Saturday over the weekend, and you're not going to find too many of their regulars dress in that game. I think you'll have some guys get called up back down from Springfield, send them out to Milwaukee. They'll play in the game against Chicago. I can't imagine Chicago has too many players in the lineup either. But last night's game, hey, you look at the line combinations. I didn't mind the lines. I like the energy. I talked to somebody this morning. I said, hey, what'd you think of the lines last night? They said, hey, I'm not as much concerned about the lines as I am the energy. So, listen, the energy was good, shift to shift. I thought Kasperi Kapanen really solidified his spot, at least in the lineup to begin the season. I thought Walker and Toropchenko and Faksa were fine on the fourth line. I didn't mind Kyrou and Buchnevich together. I liked Holloway and Neighbors playing with Robert Thomas. You know, that's going to be a big challenge for Thomas. You know, raise the level of those two guys if, in fact, they're going to play together long term. There's so many moving parts when you look at the offensive lines. Guys can come and go and play with one another. Even though Kyrou and Thomas may not be together to start the season, I think there's a decent chance we're going to see them play a good amount of hockey together over the course of the season. Buchnevich obviously getting his game together at the center position. You know, people keep talking about, is he a center or a wing? He's a center right now. You know, if they can get Dalibor Dvorsky up to speed down in the American League in Springfield, get him a full season down there, or at least as close to it as possible, and really get his game, to the NHL level, then maybe he can come in and be your second-line center. And that'll afford the Blues the opportunity to slide Buchnevich back over to the wing. But for now, and this is where they have him, Braden Shen back in this the 3-hole as the 3C. I like Shen at center. I know some people like him at wing, and I don't mind him at wing. But I think in terms of the overall depth of the team, in terms of what you need, I like him playing at center. You know who I really like is this Alexander Texier. And I've said this over and over, since the Blues made the trade with Columbus to bring him here, that he's kind of the wild card for me. I don't think people knew a whole lot about him, but when you talk to other teams around the league, you see and you hear their reports and, their breakdown of his game and how excited some of these other teams are about Alexander Texier. This guy can play. He's got great vision, great puck skills. He will compete on the puck. Skating's fine. I like Texier. And so, listen, this is going to be, and they're not going to really have any choice anyway when you talk about the Blues scoring. It's going to have to be scoring by committee this season. And so they're going to need a number of different players to step up, obviously, and contribute offensively. But, again, last night was a good start. You would have liked to see them lock it down. I thought Binnington made some great saves. Ottinger on the other side for Dallas made some great saves. I love this Stankhoven for Dallas, man. He's just such a gamer. This guy just finds a way to be in the mix at all times, no matter how the game is being played. If it's a physical game, he's in the mix. If it's a run and gun game, he's in the mix. If it's a high-scoring game, he's in the mix. I like that Stankhoven. He's going to be a good player for a long time for the Dallas Stars. But Broberg, really getting an opportunity to watch this guy play again, Philip Broberg, who came over from Edmonton. Talked about him so much in the offseason. I loved his game last night. Scored a big goal. And really, got things, going, I think, in terms of, people being able to identify what he can bring to the table and what kind of player they have in him. It was a beautiful pass from Robert Thomas on his goal, but it's not just his goal. It was his defending, his puck moving, his skating. This guy's going to be a good player. And he's going to be fine on the power play, too, if, in fact, he is running that second unit. I get the sense the Blues are going to keep 8 defensemen to start the season. Now, who's going to be the odd man out remains to be seen. I think there is some concern that, whether or not the Blues can sneak a guy like Perunovich and Tucker, Tyler Tucker, too. Can you get those guys through waivers? Some people think that Pierre-Olivier Joseph may be an easier player to sneak through than the other two. And that remains to be seen. I just kind of had that feeling throughout camp that Joseph was going to be the 7, behind Kessel and Suter, who are your 5-6. And now that Kessel was going to be your 7, or not Kessel, but Joseph. And then you still have Perunovich and you still have Tucker. So one of those guys are going to be out. Last night, listen, like I said about Kapanen, and you don't have Brandon Saad in the lineup last night. They're still unsure if he's going to play any of those first 3 road games to start the season. His wife is expecting. They hope to have him out there for at least one of the games, but we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But when he's back, he's going to be in the lineup. So who does that push out? Does that push out Nathan Walker? Probably does. I would think so, just based on the lineup last night and the way that Kapanen played. I don't see him exiting the lineup right now. And I think Kapanen you can push down and you can put him on the 4th line too, playing with Toropchenko, playing with Faksa. Kassad's going to occupy a spot in your top 9. So, again, a lot of moving parts. Health is going to come into play. You're going to need all these guys when it's all said and done. But I liked the game of Jordan Kyrou last night. He and Thomas. And listen, this is the way to describe Jordan Kyrou. Does he float a little bit? Sure. But is he dangerous? He's dangerous as hell. This guy floats, but he's dangerous. And there's a lot of guys out there in the league who put up quality offensive numbers, who score a lot of goals, who are dynamic offensive players who kind of bring that level of play, right? It looks like they're just kind of like floating their way through the game, but then they get the puck on their stick in scoring situations, and they are dangerous. And, Kyrou, listen, he can finish 3-on-3, we know that, and he can finish 5-on-5. But he had some chances last night. But, again, he was skating. And you hate to read too much into preseason. We preach all preseason, don't read it into preseason. But last night's the one and really only game where they really challenged the players to get that intensity up and to really prepare themselves to play. I thought Parayko was outstanding in last night's game. Just really good. I thought Leddy was skating. So, listen, I like this Blues team. I don't know what people think about the Blues. I don't mind them whatsoever, though. I like this Blues team. If they can get it to come together. I've said several times now, their team, it's a big pile to paint. And it's like you got the artist, and he's putting the paintbrush and he's dipping it into the paint. I don't know what the painting is going to look like and how all these colors are going to come together, but they're going to have to find a way to get them to come together. And that's kind of the way I look at this roster right now. How is it going to come together? What's it going to look like? What's their identity going to be? Who's going to be the emotional players that are going to, lead this team game in and game out? I thought that was Suter's goal last night. I was surprised they called it back. There was a little goalie interference in front. Trying to remember who was the player that was in the blue paint. I think it was Matthew Joseph who was in the paint. But he really wasn't making any contact with the goaltender. Ottinger extended his glove hand, and, he made some contact there with Joseph. But I don't know. Was that enough to overturn the goal? I guess so in the preseason. If that was the regular season, I think maybe you would feel a little bit differently. So they stole a goal from Ryan Suter. I've gotten to know Suter here a little bit here in training camp. I'm excited about what he's going to bring to the table just in terms of his experience. If he can't play every night, I think he played 16-plus minutes now in the preseason game against Dallas. So he obviously, and he doesn't overextend himself. This guy knows how to play the NHL game. You don't see him running around, getting crazy and utilizing unnecessary energy. He knows how to pace himself throughout the course of the game. He almost makes it look too easy at times. But, when you've played close to 1,500 games, you've seen it all. Nothing's going to faze you. And but if he needs to sit out and, on a back-to-back or something like that, third game in 4 nights, long road trip, listen, you've got other players who can step in and give him a rest if necessary, talking about Ryan Suter. But I think he'll be good for Kessel. I thought Kessel kind of settled things down last night. Watching him play earlier in the preseason, he had some issues a little bit, turning pucks over and whatnot. This is new territory for Matt Kessel. He's come in the past and he's, been a guy that, earned his way to the NHL, came up, played well. But, this is different. Entering a training camp, having a spot, being counted on. A little bit of a different type of pressure for Matt Kessel, but I thought he was fine. Played really well in the game last night. The Blues only gave up like 20 shots in the game, I think. So you'd like to see them lock it down, like I said, in the final minute of the game. You hate giving up those type of goals. It was a nice play from Duchesne to Stankoven in front, but still, with that being said, you don't want to see that happen. You want to see your team get out of there with 2 points in regulation versus having to go into overtime to win it. I think Thomas was on the ice the entire overtime. I don't think he came off for like a minute and a half, minute 40, something like that. So, but Thomas really turned it on in the second half of the game. I thought he was maybe just kind of easing his way into it early on. I'm like, come on, Robbie, let's get going. Second half, he really turned it on. It was a beautiful pass to Broberg. Made some other really, really nice passes, too. Obviously, the pass to Kyrou was nice as well. And a good finish by Kyrou. So now we're ready to go. Tuesday, baby. Next Tuesday. That's when things get started. 3:30 drop of the puck. Afternoon game. ESPN, they're stacking the games on next Tuesday. Back to back to back. 3 games. I don't know. Do you like the afternoon game? It doesn't bother me. We're not even doing it on Bally Sports Midwest. We're not doing 3 of the first 4 games. We're not doing the home opener either. So the first game of the first 4 that we have is the game in Vegas. So that's where we're at right now with the Blues and their schedule to get things going. But I am looking forward to this. The goaltending looks fantastic. Did you see Joel Hofer playing the puck the other night in the game on Tuesday? I mean, I asked him about it. I said, how much do you work on it? He says a lot, man. He works on his stick handling a lot. We hear about, skaters working on their stick handling all the time. This guy works on his stick handling all the time as well. So we'll bring in Jammer. We got lots to talk about here with Jamal Mayers. Looking forward to that. Also, Bill Muckalt, the head coach of Lindenwood University. They get their schedule going over the weekend. I think they play a couple of games against UNLV. So they get their season going. I want to bring in Bill. I want to support Lindenwood University and get an idea for how that team is looking as we've got Division I NCAA hockey here in St. Louis as well. So we'll talk to Bill towards the end of the show. So looking forward to that. First Community, man. They bring us Hockey Sense each and every week. We talk about that Little Blues program. Now's the best time. Get your son or daughter signed up. It's a handful of sessions, doesn't cost a lot of money, great instruction. It's how I got my son started in the game. So many of his buddies got started with Little Blues as well. It's kind of like a combination of learn to play and learn to skate all in one. So if they've never really been on the ice before, this is perfect. Plus you get all your equipment, including your skates. So take advantage of that. It's also now a perfect time to get a home loan with First Community. Fall is here. The temperatures have gone down, which is nice. We need cooler temperatures. The home loan rates, man, have gone down. How low will they go? I don't know. It's hard to say right now. But holding off because of, if you're wanting to make a move, but holding off because of higher rates, just don't wait. Don't wait any longer. Now's a great time. First Community, they're offering a 30-year and 15-year fixed-rate loans. You never have to pay a fee for the application processing, no fee for underwriting. First Community also offers jumbo loan and loans specifically for the first-time home buyer. So you owe it to yourself to learn more, and you can do it at firstcommunity.com. So check that out, firstcommunity.com. Four Hands Brewing Company, voted St. Louis's #1 brewing company. They've got all these different tasting rooms, too. Downtown St. Louis, 1220 South 8th Street, Kirkwood, Chesterfield, they're all great. Food from Peacemaker at the downtown location as well as the location in Kirkwood. They got food from High Point out there in Chesterfield, that big outdoor space, perfect for the families. But now, that mango lemonade, hard seltzer. The Cam and Strick Podcast Mango Lemonade Hard Seltzer on shelves everywhere you get your Four Hands Brewing Company products. Check it out. The number one hard seltzer on the market is the Cam and Strick Podcast Mango Lemonade, baby. So check that out. Now on the shelves, Four Hands Brewing Company. Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Great to have them back on board for another season. Dirt Cheap Fun Fun. The Wallace family, Wallace Company, bring us Dirt Cheap Fun Fun. And they add so much to the community with one dirt cheap at a time. Don't sleep on the party supplies. I say this all the time. You go to Dirt Cheap, they got a great selection of, beer, wine, and booze. You can get your lottery tickets, all that. They've got discounts on Blues game days and all that type of stuff. But download the app and get the real deals. They're so good they call them steals. Get those. And then you can also get incredible party supplies. If you're having fall parties, Halloween parties, whatever it is, get everything you need. Paper goods, decorations, all of that at Dirt Cheap Fun Fun, your one-stop party shop. Some of these locations even have drive-thrus. You don't even have to get out of your car, so check that out. All right, 314 Sports Cards, Devin Sant, unable to join us today, but, Devin's my guy, man. He is the most knowledgeable card dealer in the region. I think in North America. They've got the best selection of hockey cards anywhere in North America. They are the absolute best. They've got the boxes, they've got the packs, they've got individual cards, because sometimes your kid is saying, hey, I want an Austin Matthews card. I want a Mitch Marner. I want a Connor McDavid card. I want a Moritz Seider card from the Detroit Red Wings. Whatever it is, Patrick Kane. Go there. They'll have the individual cards for you, too, if you don't want to buy a big box or, take your chances on a pack and not knowing what card you're going to get. If you identify who you want, go in there and get one of these individual cards, too. Best customer service you'll find. 9640 Olive Boulevard if you're here in St. Louis. 9640 Olive Boulevard in Olivet. Check it out. These guys are unbelievable. They've got couches, TVs with sports on. You can just hang out and chill. If you have some pieces at your house, memorabilia, cards, and you want to know how much they're worth, maybe you want to sell them, listen, bring them in, let Devin check them out. He'll give you the valuation of the card, and he may even take them off your hands and buy them from you. He's been known to do that. So take him to Devin, let him look at him. Arco Construction, taking St. Louis hockey to the next level, one ice rink at a time. Arco, man, they built the beautiful Centene Community Ice Center where the Blues practice, that beautiful rink out in Chesterfield and Maryville University Ice Rink. I'll be out there later this afternoon. Looking forward to that. They built Topgolf, Putt Shack. They bring the fun to St. Louis, but they are taking St. Louis hockey to the next level, one ice rink at a time over there, Arco Construction. Lordo's Diamonds, they've been around for almost 70 years. You're looking to pop that question this holiday season. No better place to prepare and to go to than Lordo's Diamonds. Mike and Jimmy Lordo, they'll take great care of you. And again, like I said, they've been around for, 70 years? Right there in the heart of Ladue. 314-432-8008. Lordo's Diamonds, baby. All right, this is Hockey Sense brought to you by First Community. Lots to come. We got Aiden in the house. We're at the Half Coast Studios. Jamal Mayers, man, he joins me next. Hardcore hockey talk with him. We're going to go on for at least 30 minutes with Jammer. And then Bill Muckalt from Lindenwood University. We'll talk to him as well. So lots to come on this edition of Hockey Sense. Brought to you by First Community. I'm Andy Strickland. Stick with us. All right, back here on Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Jamal Mayers, he found his way in.
Oh, come on.
I should fine you today.
Well,
I mean, just
I'm not trying
a little bit late.
I'm not trying to disparage my cell phone provider, but my phone went out on Monday for 12 hours. So I'm looking into switching to a different carrier. And,
Is that why your phone wouldn't ring?
No, I don't.
No, you had phone issues. I was calling you the other day.
Monday.
Yeah.
It went out. Our entire family's on the same provider, obviously, and I'm sure I'm not the only one.
No, there's a lot of people.
They had made it sound online like there was only 100,000. No, there must have been millions of people without service. Yes. But it was literally for 15 hours on Monday last week.
Yeah.
Where we didn't have service. And so now after being with them forever, I'm like, you know what? It might be time.
Really? So hey, listen, sometimes opens up a new door.
That's it. So I was dealing with that. Apologies.
Hey, real quick. So Brandon Saad, he wasn't in the lineup last night for their final dress rehearsal. Last night was the game they're going to go into the season with. Lines look good. Energy looked good. Didn't give up a ton. You don't like to see the team give up a goal late in the final 30 seconds of the game to to not win the game in regulation, but they still won it in overtime. But Brandon Saad, listen, his wife is expecting, so he won't be available to start the season, at least for the game in Seattle. Is this, things like this can happen, but how does it work? I mean, like, I guess like right after the baby's born, I guess you could just jump on a plane and head out to the West Coast, right?
I don't want to sound insensitive, and my oldest is 19, but to give you a little bit of insight on how things are different, she was born in September, so it's preseason. And at the time, Mike Kitchen, I believe, was the coach, and I love Kitch. But I went to him and I said, hey, listen, we're going to have our first, and the schedule is such that we play on the 28th, and I believe like the 30th. So we're going to induce her on the 28th.
So I'll miss the 28th.
This is preseason. I said, we're going to induce her on the 28th. So however many, I'd played 7 years at this point, or maybe even longer. However many games you want me to play, let's plan on me not playing on the 27th, or 28th rather, because we're going to induce her on the 28th or 29th, and then I can play on the 30th, etc. And he's like, you sure we can't switch that? I said, Kitch.
I love it.
It's exhibition number one, and I'm gonna play 4 of the 6 or wherever many. Let's figure it out. It wasn't a regular season game, but times have changed. My thinking is certainly you want to be there, especially for the first and all the births.
Yeah,
get that part.
Of course.
But once everything's okay, my assumption is that you would race to get to. Yeah. You probably miss a game. I think
it happened to Big Walt years ago. I think when his daughter was born, I think he like chartered a plane or something like that to get back out to where he was going. I know. And I'm not suggesting. Listen, it is what it is, man. You should not miss the birth of your child. I think those are special moments you just can't take back. But
absolutely,
hopefully he will. It works out schedule-wise where he's available for one of those first 3 games, because they could certainly use his veteran presence in the lineup. And you get him in the lineup, all of a sudden this team looks even better than I think it does right now. We'll see how it all comes together.
And honestly, as exhausted as he will be, because you're gonna
he'll play with a ton of adrenaline.
You'll play with a ton of adrenaline, and you'll be so excited. And hopefully.
How many times we hear about a player like they score a goal on like they didn't sleep all night long because their child was born and then they score a goal.
It makes for a great story. So my suggestion, once the baby's born, get on the road, get on that plane, and go have yourself a couple great games.
I'm trying to remember who it happened to from the Blackhawks a few years back in the playoffs against the Blues.
Patrick Sharp.
Was it Sharp?
Yeah.
And like there was talk like, is he going to be here? Is he not going to be here? Troy Brouwer and his wife were like best friends with whoever the other wife was. So they were like keeping in touch with them too, and they're playing against him, which is always interesting. So yeah, man, you can't, hey, listen, it is what it is. The dates are what they are. So I'm looking forward to things getting going though, on Tuesday in Seattle, 3:30 start time. What do you think of that to get things going?
It's different, but it's the first game. So I think you're not in your usual routine. So I think it won't be as disruptive as it would normally be in the middle of the season. So I think that to start the year, everyone's going to be super excited and a lot of newness around the team and a lot of new guys and things. And there's excitement for every team to start well. It's so important in today's NHL. Although Edmonton proved that you can start terribly and rebound, not many teams can do that.
I wouldn't try that again.
No, I agree.
The Blues did that actually years ago, and they won the Stanley Cup.
Oh, you keep talking about that.
Well, it's the same thing happened to Edmonton last year. They got to the final. You make that coaching change, all of a sudden, like things happen. The team gets energized and they start to play better. I got to ask you though, all the stuff that's going on with the preseason, because it's created a lot of discussion about limiting the number of preseason games. There's too many as it is. You got this Arbor Jack Eye just going crazy, hitting guys left and right. Although the Tim Stützle thing, it looked like he got hit with his own stick, but Jack Eye did step up on him. No fine, no suspension. He got fined from the previous game when he went after the kid Pare, who caught Patrick Laine as Laine was coming across the blue line. I mean, how do you look at preseason? Should it be like flag football out there? Should there be physical contact? I mean, you got guys out there that are trying to make a name for themselves. Veteran guys don't really want to play. How do you look at it?
I think it's fine the way it is. I think we're quick to make rash decisions, big picture decisions based off of isolated incidences. It's unfortunate when guys get hurt, and it happens to be in the preseason. Certainly don't want that for your better players as well, but I think that it would be a little bit too reactionary to make a massive decision. I think it's important for the organizations to get looks at some of these younger players. There's a reason why there's the number. I don't think you need to be playing. I mean, back in the day, we were playing 12 and some odd games, 8 to 12 games. I think 6 is I don't know what they play now, 7, 8 games, 6 or 7 or 8. That's a good number so that you're able to look at some of your younger players, because you want to be able to evaluate them at the NHL level, not only to see where they are, but for them to see perhaps how far they need to go or how close they are in either respect. So I think it's important for the organizations to do that. Do the players that are playing, that are solidified with their position, want to play more games? No, but they don't play all the games anyway. You certainly want to play the last game of the preseason, and you want to play generally 2/3 as a player to get yourself ready. You got to be a little bit careful in making a rash decision based off a couple of unfortunate instances.
Yeah. No, you're right. You don't see too many star players play more than 1 or 2 games. 2 games max, maybe. They don't get on the plane typically to go to the road games in the preseason. So I think there's ways to do it. Listen, I think GMs feel some obligation to try to get everybody a game who's in camp, and not everybody's going to play, but you try to get as many guys as possible, at least a game. The last thing you need is a phone call from an agent or whatever and be like, you're sending him down, you're burying him. He didn't even get a game. You know what I'm saying? He didn't even get 1 game to show what he can. So you try to get guys in games, and I get that.
I think that they do. I think you're right, but you have to earn it. If you don't have a terrible camp, then and you get sent down, there's a message being sent as well. So,
yeah, but some guys you just know they're not competing for an NHL spot.
Then they don't deserve a game.
Yeah.
And so, I think that every organization, every general manager and brass makes their decisions based on performance. And I think that some guys just don't deserve a game. They don't get a game. And so this isn't like a fantasy camp here.
It's not. Swaggy P wants to come out and participate.
Well, I wish he would have been out there 10 years ago.
He wants to go to training camp.
Okay, good one.
What would you do if you're like a player and all of a sudden it's like it turns into just like a charade and you just got it's like a YouTube promotion?
I would make it so that it would be the worst decision he ever made, and he should never have done.
He's a nice guy though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy for him. He's done a nice job of making really cool content.
Yeah.
And it's great energy and helps make the game cool. And I think some of the stuff he's able to do is pretty cool.
But it doesn't belong at the NHL training camp.
It's skills. It's not.
What do you tell your kids that want to do the Michigan all day long in practice? And
I say, well, how many games did those guys that are really good at that play in a league that matters? And that's not hockey. It's really cool stuff to try when you're having a stick and puck and it's fun, but it's not gonna.
Okay, so your kids that you're coaching, they're 12 years old now. Are you seeing kids try crazy stuff during games? Like, has anybody tried the Michigan in a game?
Yeah, we've had
because I've seen 8-year-old kids do it.
Yeah, we've had kids try it and do it, and our rule that we didn't. It's funny. It came about 2 years ago when they were actually able to do it, and I think that now that they're 12, like our thing is like you can do it, but you can't stop behind the net to try to do it. So if you can actually pick up the puck while you're moving. And you can try.
Like Connor Bedard
but
did last
the minute
year.
you don't pick it up, because they know right away then you play hockey.
Right.
And that's basically our thing. I don't want to take the fun out of it for them. I mean, their skill is ridiculous, so let them do it. But that's kind of our general consensus and idea is, and if there's a guy wide open in the slot, I don't want you trying to Michigan. That's not a smart hockey player.
I saw a player last night try to pick up the puck between his legs, like just through the neutral zone, like it was just like a normal play. I don't know if he had to do it, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that...
He was just skating into the puck, Jammer. Not a whole lot of, he had plenty of space, no pressure around him. And just instead of just picking the puck up with his forehand and skate, he just brought it between his legs.
Yeah, not sure. Not sure about that.
I mean, it was just and he didn't really execute it either. Kind of fumbled it.
It's kind of to me, I equate it to our version of the unnecessary saucer pass. There's nobody between you and I. Why create an additional... element of chance where the pass would be go bad by creating a saucer pass? That's my general rule. Don't saucer the pass if there's no one between you and I.
It's interesting you say that, because why increase the degree of difficulty for your teammate to receive the pass?
Just pass it.
Sometimes it's like up, it's elevated 4 feet in the air. It's just like, I got to knock it down. You could have made a flat pass and I could have one-timed it.
Just pass it. Yeah, that's probably something.
But the sauce pass is a part of the game. It's a skill. It's almost like a necessary skill.
Absolutely. But it's, there's no need to do it without there being someone between us.
Hey, you've had a chance to see Celebrini a little bit here with some of the stuff you're doing with San Jose. Like your initial impressions of him. How good is he?
He
got hurt the other night, didn't he?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's going so fast. But
serious or no?
No, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I think that what's really remarkable and common with a lot of these elite special players, and there's only a few each year, right? One or two, is that their makeup is not a front. Like their drive to get better, the fact that you got to get them off the ice after an hour and a half practice, they're still out there. That's going to be their biggest challenge, is like balancing the whole, how long the season is, keeping them healthy, keeping them engaged without putting so much pressure on themselves to be dominant right away. But it's so impressive to see those young players, and he is certainly in that category where they're just so driven. It's unreal. Practice is over and he's still out there working on stuff. And it's like they're going to have to tell him, just like they tell Bedard, just like they tell McDavid, okay, they're going to have to find a couple of veterans that they trust that say, okay, you got to get off the ice.
All right, but some of these guys are so superstitious, and they feel like they need to be on the ice. I was watching a clip from Luke Richardson with Bedard. Like, they're literally hiding his sticks, and they're hiding the steel to his blades for his skates so he can't go on the ice after practice. They're like, listen, like, there's times we got 3 games in 4 nights that you're going to need your energy, but what if these guys all of a sudden don't feel right by not getting those extra touches? Like Ryan O'Reilly, you're going to tell, I know he's been around for 1,000 games, so it's different, but he's always been like that since the day that he stepped foot in the NHL. He needs that extra work.
No, he doesn't need it. He thinks he needs it.
Mentally, though.
Yeah, mentally they think. So I think the challenge is going to be giving them someone that they trust and talk to through some of those things. I equate it to this. I had a routine and a thing that I did every game day, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, as a dad, when you have kids and they disrupt your nap, you have a plan, but the plan gets foiled because you have a family, you have kids, and they wake you up. And doesn't mean you're not going to have a good game because of it.
Yeah.
You still try to follow your routine, but things change, and it doesn't necessarily affect your performance. And you learn that through experience. You learn that through time of getting older. And I think that, yeah, you can have your routine, but it's not going to affect your performance. And once you go through that a few times, it just takes time. They're going to see that, you know what, I can still have a good game and not be on the ice extra, not do that stuff that I usually do, because we are habitual. We are, superstitious in some regards. So I think that once they find a new routine and have a great game, then they realize, you know what, I didn't need to be on the ice that much.
Well, it's changed from players who said, I'm going to stay on extra because management's watching or coaches are watching, and coaches would reward guys that are like, hey, look at the extra work he's putting in.
Yeah.
He's the last guy off the ice. He's the first guy on the ice. But I think, listen, they want to get control of it. I don't know.
It's not a front for these guys. Not a front. They're not doing it they're already on the team.
Yeah, they're not trying to get brownie points.
They're not doing it for that reason. That's just how they're wired, which I think is pretty special to watch, how much they love the game and how eager they are.
What kind of player is he, though? Like, is he, in comparison to the other phenoms that have come in recently, the Bedards of the world, the McDavids, the Crosbys? I know, talking to his college coach last year, he made the direct comparison to Crosby. He said he's more like a Crosby than a McDavid. Like, you've seen him playing out some games. What do you make out of him?
I see him like a McKinnon.
That much power.
That powerful. And he's 18.
And he can giddy up like that.
It's his first 3 steps are ridiculous.
Really?
Yes.
Is he their best player?
Yes.
On the team?
Yeah, and I talked to Logan Couture, who was a rookie when I was there in 2010, who's now their captain. I think he's like 34, not to age myself, but great kid. I sat beside him in the room, him, and then Marlowe was on the other side. And he said, "Right, he's our best player already." Talked to him for 10 minutes. He said, "Yeah." He goes, "You watch this. This kid's unbelievable." So I was like, "Okay."
So what's the ceiling for him this year? I just to like play with some numbers with me. Like, can he score 25 and 60?
Yes.
Like,
yes, 25 and 60. Yes, yeah, he's that good.
Yeah, Anaheim's got some good players too, man. I mean, watching some of these, these young guys they've got floating around there too. I mean, we saw Carlson a little bit last year. Leo Carlson. They got the Senecki kid who's most likely going back to Oshawa, but still, I mean, these kids are coming in, Jamal, and they're having like immediate success. I mean, the certain selection of those guys, like you get drafted in the top 5, those guys they look like they can play right away. Whether or not they can or not, I guess remains to be seen. Colorado's got that Ritchie, for example. We'll see what happens there. I guess he could be going back to Oshawa too. I don't know, but these kids are so damn good. You know what I mean?
They are, and it's fun. It's great for the game. The skill level is off the charts. Their hockey sense will take time. Their game management, understanding of the game, time, score, situation will take time.
Mm-hmm.
Taking advantage of their opportunities, difficult schedules. It's going to be easy for some. It's going to be very difficult for some.
Do they benefit from coming in and playing with a bad team? Or would it be better to play less and be around better players and be in a more competitive environment?
It's a difficult question. I think that it'll be more difficult mentally for them just because they're not used to failing and losing. But they'll probably have more individual success.
Yeah. As long as they don't put too much pressure on themselves in terms of the result.
That's
at 18, like they're the face of the team already. Would you have given the C to Bedard in Chicago, or you think Foligno was like the obvious choice just in terms of his personality and how he came onto the scene in Chicago last year and how he took Bedard under his wing and how he's fighting all the time, signed the contract extension. But, we've seen plenty of guys get the C when they're not ready yet. Like, what was your take on that?
My understanding is that he doesn't have those skills yet. Mm-hmm. Not saying he can't grow into it. He's a young player. Some guys have it innately, like a Taser, and perhaps I see Celebrini in that light.
Crosby.
That have that at a young age. And McDavid, I don't think he has that.
You think Celebrini has it?
Yeah, I do. I don't think he has it. So I think listen, you don't have to be a captain to be an amazing special player. Yeah. I don't think that he has. I think he's going to have to grow into those characteristics and those, and being a leader.
Hey, what do you make out of the Jeremy Swayman situation? You got Cam Neely coming out there and like throwing out like $64 million, and then the agent's like, well, he didn't even offer $64 million, And I know Louis Gross and I mean this situation, who's the agent for Swayman, and it's just such a bizarre situation to have it become this public. I mean, listen, it's business. You don't like to see players or star players, certainly goaltenders, hold out. I don't know what he's holding out for. I hear that he wants $9 million a year on an 8-year contract. If they're able to get to $8 million a year, which they have to now. I mean, he just said 64 million reasons to play. He's got to get to $8 million now. Or if you're Boston, you can't offer less than $8 million per year. So you put yourself in that situation. But how do you look at it, and how does this impact the rest of the team?
Well, I think they misplayed it. I think that when you made the decision to move off of Ullmark and go with Swayman, then you gave him the leverage. And I think that once you did that, you kind of put yourself in a difficult situation to kind of give him what he wants. Mm-hmm. And I think at some point, it's a battle of ego. It's a battle of like what's right and what's wrong, or do you want to make a deal? Mm-hmm. And so I think that they're at this contentious point, which is easy now. It's preseason, but they start the season 2-8. Mm-hmm. Who gets the leverage? Like their solutions that they have in goal without him aren't sustainable. So if you're Swayman, you wait.
Yeah,
you wait. They're gonna give you what you want, or they're gonna have to go out and make a very difficult trade to get someone else and make a sign and trade.
Unless Korpisalo just locks it down and they start winning a bunch of games early and he's playing out of his mind, then that's the risk that Swayman takes too, right? But I agree with what you're saying. I think you take your chances on the other way.
I think that at this point he has all the leverage regardless. I think they know it, and I think that's why you're seeing some of the unusual comments in the public.
Would you pay him $8 million? Based on his body of work, he hasn't played a ton. He really has never had to be the number one guy. He took over as the number one last year. And Ullmark, just so people know, like there was a date coming in his contract when his limited no trade was going to kick in. I don't think he probably would have. I don't think he had Ottawa on the list of teams that he would go to, and they had this deal on the table with Ottawa. So they made the trade, but again, you open yourself up to this situation.
I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think there's a simple solution. I think that what happened was they came out and said it was 8 times 8, right?
Yeah, 64.
And they said no, it wasn't 8 times 8.
Right.
Okay. So then the organization said that's what they said they offered him, right?
They said I can give you 64 million reasons
and
as to why
he's saying no, that's not what happened.
Correct.
So just offer him 8.25 and put that out there. If that really would make it really difficult for him to say no.
Yeah, well, $8 million to me would make it difficult to say no for him. Like based on to get $8 million a year based on what he's accomplished up to this point. Listen,
I guess that's the point I'm making is like then go back and say if you're saying we're not close to 8 times 8. Okay, we're going to publicly hear what the offer is 8 times 8. And now he's got to go and say no to that.
Yeah. That's I'm not a big fan of committing long-term dollars to goaltenders anyway. There's a handful that I would, but I just think it's so unpredictable. It's the most unpredictable position in sports.
I think over the last 10 years, you've seen several examples of guys winning that you were like, where did he come from?
Oh, yeah. Who's this guy in the playoffs? All of a sudden that wins a round or two.
So it's like, do you really need that?
For $8 million?
And it's
at 8 years?
Or are you better off getting 2 guys that are at 4.5, 5?
Yeah. It's not the money, it's the term. Shesterkin, he is their team. I mean, I talked to even people with Florida.
But there's 5 of those guys, right?
Yeah. But
there's not 20 of them.
He wants 12. You know what I mean? And he might get it. He is their team. I talked to players, who've come on our podcast and whatnot from Florida, and they basically say New York was the worst team they played in the playoffs, but this guy was so good, he's the only reason they had a chance. He was unbelievable. Like, other players are like, this guy's ridiculous. Players on the Rangers are like, he's incredible. But $12 million, man, I mean, I know the cap's going up, but it's just a lot of...
that is a lot.
A lot of money to commit to your goaltender, Yes. Do you believe in Toronto? You think Toronto, this is their year to...
I think that Chief is going to do an amazing job in reframing their focus and work rate. And I think that his ability to motivate, having won before, to get the buy-in that's immediate, the correct decision to name Matthews the captain. I feel like he's the emotional, not only their best player, he's their emotional catalyst, and he's shown it. And he plays a 200-foot game. Has been really remarkable. So I'm excited about that.
All right. We got to step aside. Bill Muckalt, did you play against him in college?
I did. They beat up on us until my senior year, and then I think we tied for the CCHA championship. But then in the playoffs, we didn't play very well.
He played at Western Michigan. Or at Michigan. You played at Western Michigan.
Yes.
Where Tom Newton was a football player. I just heard from him the other day. I think they're planning an event for him. And they're bringing all these guys back. I'm like, Jammer knows this guy.
We talk all the time. But I didn't know he's coming back. He's back not too long ago. So maybe
he's got a restaurant or something.
Yeah,
right?
He does. Great guy. Salt of the earth.
Yeah,
people. Great person.
And I remember him back in the day when he was playing. He used to come to the Blues games all the time. So.
Yes.
Who brings you to Hockey Sense each and every week?
Well, it's Dobbs. Dobbs. Winter weather is right around the corner. So now's a perfect time for you to get to Dobbs for new tires and free winter auto service and repairs. Dobbs is locally owned and family owned, and they've been in business since 1976. No matter what you drive, a car, light truck, van, SUV, CUV, hybrid or EV, Dobbs has what it takes, the experience, technology, and state-of-the-art diagnostics to service your vehicle right. So go in there. Go to Dobbs.com for more.
Beauty. What are you having for dinner tonight?
Wolf. There's only one choice. Bartolino's. They got 4 restaurants. Bartolino's South, Bartolino's Osteria, Chris's Pancake and Dining, and Chris is at the docket, forged many lasting relationships with their customers. Their family model, cook good food, serve plenty. 50-plus years in business. Only 2 places to dine, at home or at one of Bartolino's family of restaurants.
Hey, the NHL season starts today. Did you ever play a Global Series game overseas or no?
Never did.
No?
Never.
Would you have liked to?
Game. Yeah, never did.
Outdoor game would be great.
That would have been awesome.
You played in the alumni game.
That was so fun.
Yeah.
Got a picture with Wayne.
Oh, yeah. And it was like 50,000.
And I think that was his last time playing.
He said that would be the last game he ever played, and he's never played a game since. my favorite assignment that I've ever had personally, because I was on the bench and like in the penalty box area too. Like I was at ice level interviewing guys the entire game, and interviewed Gretzky and Big Walt and Adam Otoli, like everybody. It was incredible. Yeah. And there was like 50,000 plus people there. I don't think they've ever had a alumni game with that many people watching at once, maybe outside of like, at the big house or something like that.
And I kind of felt bad because we had the good weather.
Yeah. Game. Great weather.
And I believe it did kind of rain a little bit.
It wasn't bad though.
Real game.
Yeah, it was like misty a little bit, but it wasn't bad. Yeah. One of the best events. And then the Blues are playing them one this year too at Wrigley Field against Chicago. So that'll be fun coming up on New Year's Eve.
I think they stopped doing the alumni games though when Chris Draper wanted to fight Gary Roberts.
They're like, no more of this. Who would surprise you more that they would be involved in that, Gary Roberts or Draper?
Drapes, because he never did any of that when he played.
Yeah, I heard Gary can get.
Oh, he can get enemy. Yeah, he's tough.
Yeah, and he's great trainer too.
Great what he does.
Blue Note Roofing also brings us Hockey Sense each and every week. Soffit, siding, roofing, fascia, gutters, whatever you're looking for, man. Call David Novak today, 314-920-5713. David Novak, baby, 314-920-5713. Blue Note Roofing, proud sponsor of what we do here on Hockey Sense. All right, Bill Muckalt, we'll talk with him next. Don't go anywhere. All right, Bill Muckalt from Lindenwood University, been coaching for a long time with the University of Michigan, and now he's here in St. Louis coaching Lindenwood, about to get things rolling for the first time as a head coach here at Lindenwood. Man, how exciting has it been? And are you guys ready, man? It's been a quick process. It's hard to believe the season's here.
Absolutely. Obviously we've been going for about 5 weeks practicing now. I think the guys are ready for some fresh meat and an opportunity. And I think in all seriousness, it's a good test to see where we're at. We've done a lot of homework and practices, a lot of assignments, and now it's just a good test, right? To see where we're at as a group and a place where we can start our journey to find our identity, where we can start to play predictable hockey and play connected hockey and play to our identity within our structure.
All right, so how different is the team that you're going to roll out there this weekend versus what people maybe saw last season? How much turnover has there been? And what have you been able to do, Bill, to try to, bring that big time expectation, environment that you're probably used to being with Michigan all those years and try to, create that here with Lindenwood?
Yeah, that's a great question. We have 18 new players on our roster, 9 from the transfer portal and 9 freshmen. Wow. So that's a significant change to our group. It's really been a good learning process for us as a staff and for the players. We've done a lot of video individually and collectively to get our systems in place and done a lot of teaching that way. But one of the things that was really fun for our team, we had some team building exercises. We played paintball. They wanted the assistant coaches to play, but we held them out of that. But we had a good barbecue and had a good scramble out at Whitmore at the country club, and that brought some good laughs and some good times together, and good motivational talk from Bobby Gassoff. Came in and spoke to our group a little bit of what it's like to be a Navy SEAL and what that process is and how that kind of can relate to hockey. So those were some good things that we did. And obviously now we're into some live bullets, so to speak, where we're getting into play UNLV this weekend.
All right. Tell me about UNLV real quick though. How long are they Division I now? Like, fill me in. I should know this, but like, I didn't realize, it had happened this quickly. Like, what do we know about UNLV?
Yeah, they're looking to go Division I. They've played Denver and some other teams very, very tough. They're at the top of their ACHA division. So I think it'll be a really good test. They're going to be really hungry with a chip on their shoulder to prove that they can play and beat Division I opponents. So I think for us, we're looking at it where this is an opportunity for us to start our season, and no matter who the opponent is, we want to we want to start playing within our structure into our system and getting good habits, because the following weekend we play at the University of Wisconsin. But we're not looking past this at all. This is a good test, and we're going to try to get everybody in the lineup in these 2 games on Saturday and Sunday.
All right, so listen, I was just in Ann Arbor recently, and my daughter had a soccer tournament up there, and so we stuck into Yost Arena, great place. I see the Bill Muckalt, it's all over the wall and everything, man. So much history and so much tradition there that the program kind of sells itself, right? So how do you approach this differently? You're trying to build something that's new. You don't obviously have the tradition that you're used to from where you come from. So building that obviously is key, but you can't do that overnight. So how does your approach change in terms of, leading this program compared to maybe, being with a program that kind of sells itself like you've been with?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think the first thing that we've really put an emphasis on is recruiting, and good players recruit good players. We have to give everyone in the greater St. Louis community a reason to want to invest in our program. We want to play an exciting style of hockey. We want to give people an opportunity to come watch us play. We've really made a real effort with our coaching staff and our players. We had a youth camp this summer that I thought was great for the first year, but we've been involved with a lot of the minor hockey programs here in the last month, going out to practice with our staff and our players and talking to the parents, and just on what the path looks like to get to the college hockey level, and talking about even what it takes to get to the National Hockey League level. So those are some things within the community. Obviously, we put a premium on speaking to the alumni and getting out and meeting with some potential donors and fundraisers and being active in the community. But all those things kind of go hand in hand with building a program. Obviously, we want to increase our fan base. We want to increase the level of talent. But from the day-to-day aspect of running this program and coaching and teaching, we're trying to give these players I'm trying to give them every bit of the same experience that we had at the University of Michigan with the top young prospects going to the National Hockey League, whether it's drill design, skill development, the video, everything that we can do on and off the ice to create that same atmosphere is what we're trying to instill in our program and build our culture.
Yeah, no, I love that. What are your impressions of St. Louis hockey right off the bat? I mean, you've only been here for a handful of months, but what are your impressions here in the early on?
It's been phenomenal, especially with the St. Louis Blues. They've been fantastic. The Blues alumni have been skating a couple times a week with them and with their group. What a great group of guys. They're all involved in the hockey community in some capacity, whether they're still coaching or whether they have kids that are still playing at the minor hockey level or college levels. So it's been really great to fit in with them. They made me feel really welcome, but it really is a special community when I talk about hockey. And there's so many great minor hockey organizations, whether it's AAA or boys or girls youth hockey, all the way across the board at different levels. Obviously, we also have a women's Division I program and men's and women's club team here. They're successful programs. So there's just so much great hockey here in St. Louis. It's fun to be part of it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And trying to establish that tradition. My son's just coming up. He's still young. Obviously, isn't even, at the age where you can play AAA yet. But, getting out in front of people, I know that's important. We got an email the other day. He plays with the Hockey Club of St. Louis. I know you have programs and different initiatives to get these kids out there where they can come watch and discounted rates. How important is it that you see these kids in the stands and the community coming out and supporting your team?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, I think the environment that it creates for our players, also just getting out and there's nothing better than a live hockey game, right? It's I never get tired of watching or going to games and being involved in it. But that's something that we're really trying to promote and develop are those relationships in the hockey community and support that. And I think it's a great role model, college athletics for for moms and dads out there, for boys and girls to aspire to get a post-secondary education in college, and hopefully one day play college athletics. And obviously we're in the hockey arena in that aspect. It's so valuable. I've seen what it's done for so many of my teammates and student athletes that I've coached over the years that have been successful inside of the game, and more importantly, have been really successful outside of the game. I think that's why I'm such a big believer in college hockey.
All right, so you guys get going against UNLV. What have you been able to do to prepare the team to play? Have you had any exhibition games whatsoever? I mean, teams have been playing games now. It's hard to get games, I would imagine, in terms of an exhibition schedule. So is this the first time you guys will play a game this year? And how have you been able to prepare your team to play for live action here?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It'll be our first games of the year. We try to put our players in game-like situations where they have to think, and it's all about habits. I think the big thing is in practice, you have teaching moments and video, and now we're going to have, the touch. If you touch the stove, if you do something wrong, the stove's gonna burn, and everybody gets to see that in a game, in a real game. There's no do-overs. At the end of the day, the scoreboard's the final decision. But for us, it's more about the process that goes into it as we build and get in good habits. And the same thing as well from an aspect where we do really good things. I mean, that's where we want to hang our hat and continue to build on that style of play and within our structure.
All right, man. Listen, I'm looking forward to it. And best of luck this weekend, but obviously this season as well. And I'll be coming out to the games and looking to support you guys as well. And we'll do this throughout the year, Bill. So all the best, man. Congratulations on having a great off season. Now you can put all the work that you guys put in from the off season and put your product out there on the ice. And it's a great schedule you've built once again here coming up this season. So the competition is high, but people are excited to see what you guys can do here, especially in your first season. So all the best, and thanks for doing this.
Hey, my pleasure, Andy. Thanks for having me on. We'll talk soon.
Okay, you got it, Bill. Best of luck, man. We'll talk. That's Bill Muckalt. And good stuff from him, man. And we wish him the best of luck for sure. We wish Lindenwood the best of luck, and they'll be ready to go. So get out there and support Lindenwood University. Again, First Community brings us Hockey Sense each and every week. And we love our partnership with First Community. Get your son or daughter signed up for Little Blues, and who knows, you could play for Lindenwood University down the road and be a Division I college hockey player. They've got so many great things happening soon. You know what's opening soon, by the way, is First Community. They already have branches in O'Fallon, including a branch inside the O'Fallon Walmart Supercenter. It's open 7 days a week. How many banks are open 7 days a week? Not many. They're excited to announce that coming soon, they'll open another O'Fallon, Missouri branch. This location is at the Winghaven exit off I-64 on Caledonia Parkway. Has drive-through service, a self-serve coin counter, and a 24-hour ATM. So for a full list of branches, visit firstcommunity.com. Did somebody just throw this on? Did somebody just come in here? Where'd this come from? Okay. Attention, okay, it's not for me. Anyway, somebody's throwing in mail. 314 Sports Cards, stop on by and say hi to Devin Sant, 9640 Ala Boulevard. Of course, Blue Note Roofing, 314-920-5713. Call David Novak today. You see his name and number on the screen throughout the course of the YouTube show. Listen, you need roofing, siding, soffit, fascia, whatever you need, gutters. Nobody does it better than David Novak. Huge Blues fan, too. He'll talk hockey with you. No doubt about that. And all our great sponsors, man. Lordo's Diamonds, Arco Construction, Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop, everybody. Four Hands Brewing Company, but certainly our title sponsor from First Community, firstcommunity.com. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Hockey Sense. We talked some Blues. We got into a number of things with Jamal Mayers. And best of luck to Lindenwood University. And we thank head coach Bill Muckalt for joining us here on this edition of Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. I'm Andy Strickland, reminding you to keep your head up and your stick on the ice for everybody affiliated with the show, including our main man, Aiden, behind the glass here at Half Coast Studios. Have a great weekend, St. Louis.